Hello everyone, today we're doing the second Summer of Sci-Fi review, and we are doing Arthur C. Clarke, and this is Childhood's End. This came out in 1953. This is such a fascinating sci-fi novel. I actually really loved it. This was one of the many Arthur C. Clarke books that I bought when I was doing a big haul of his books. I saw a bunch of them at a used bookstore for like $1 or $2 each, and I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta get them. And this is the first book I've ever read by him, and again, I loved it. This was absolutely amazing to read. I will say the introduction was a little too racist, but this was also the 1950s, and it's very, like, noticeably wrong information. Like, it's just that kind of racist science that they were touting about how, like, you know, white people are genetically smarter and stuff like that. And thankfully, that's kind of done away with very quickly. But it is something to be aware of. But this book was really fascinating because the story is basically all about these very superior aliens that come to our Earth and they fly over our cities and they park and they make demands, basically being like, eliminate poverty, get rid of war, and get rid of your nukes because you guys were about to kill each other, and basically you guys were going to do World War III, which would have killed you all. And as an alien species that is so powerful, we felt obligated to intervene. And the entire book is basically living the golden age after the fact and kind of questioning whether this was something that should have happened or should humanity have wiped itself out? Was that something the aliens should have done? It's a very interesting question. I think the most interesting part of this book, though, was just how sort of utopian Earth kind of became, but still had a lot of sort of the 1950s sort of attitudes, because there was a lot of parts in the book where it was like, yeah, we're all equal, but then there's one specific instance that I'm thinking of that made me really kind of stop in my tracks. And it was the fact that the supposed utopia uses the N-word as sort of like a title. And I was not for that whatsoever. I thought that was a very problematic thing. And the character who kind of talks about it, he's a black guy. He's kind of like, yeah, you know, that word used to be bad, you know, back in the old days, but now it's kind of become like a badge of honor to be called that. And I'm kind of like, ew, like, I don't know how to feel about that. Like, in 2026, that feels very problematic. I do not like that at all. But that specific moment was pretty awful. But I really enjoy kind of the exploration around the aliens because they're called the overlords, as sort of that very kind of like big brother kind of aspect, because that's kind of the main crux of why humanity is kind of iffy about the golden age, because they are highly surveilled. There's zero crime on Earth, there's zero wars, there's zero weapons manufacturing, no one is killed. I mean, sometimes people are killed, but the aliens basically have such a deep surveillance state that no one is able to do any crimes, do anything violent, anything. And it kind of becomes like I think they said that it was like a 2-day work week, basically, that Earth had, because aliens came in and put in like factories that could automate everything on Earth. So humans just focused on like art and culture and all that. And a lot of the characters are kind of like, yeah, that's amazing. I love being able to do that, but I don't want to be surveilled that deeply. And there's sort of this question back and forth throughout the book. And the ending of this book is just so out there. I mean, this is basically the three-body problem in 200 pages, 300 pages, I think. Yeah, about 200 pages, I just looked. And it's really kind of amazing, sort of the ideas that he explores in such a small amount of pages. And I was really impressed sort of at the ideas that he had, because we hadn't gone to the moon yet. We hadn't really gone and had like really specialized telescopes yet. So there was a lot of assumptions that the author was building off of. And he made it a really kind of great novel despite that. Because there was a lot of things where I was like, I don't think that's how it works, but with the knowledge that they had at the time, it's kind of like, it's forgivable. So, but the other issues I had with the book, the racism and the just very bizarre thing I talked about earlier with the N-word, I thought that was just, it brings the rating down a bit for me, because I wanted to give this a 9 out of 10, but I think I have to give it an 8. I have to bump it down a whole star, because that moment was just so what the F for me. It was very what the fuck, and I was like, looking around, like, after I read that line, and I was like, what the fuck is he smoking? I was like, this is so bizarre, like, that anyone would utter that, saying that's a title of honor or something. Very awkward, but this was a great book overall. The ending was just very weird, very three body problem, book 3. It was just amazing. I really loved the ending, and it was very different than how a 3-body problem ended. So it was really fascinating to sort of basically get the same story twice, but with totally different endings. And I guess this is now spoilers, but the ending basically becomes that the human race has evolved, and they are knowingly sending themselves into basically a extinction level event, because the final humans put themselves into like pods and kind of put themselves a few years in the future, because there's kind of this question of like, is the apocalypse coming because the aliens are coming, and like the whole overlord race is coming, and one of the overlords is like, actually I want to go back to my planet because I don't know what my people are doing there and I don't really trust them. So there's kind of this back and forth between Earth and the overlord planet that we do not get in 3-body problem, which was very frustrating for me. But I really, really loved how humanity basically become the Star Children at the end of the 2001 A Space Odyssey movie, because I haven't read the book. I actually am reading the book as part of the Summer of Sci-Fi read. But I really love kind of the idea that humanity is going to continue to evolve, and even into the stars. I love that. Love that idea. And this book does it. So I was very happy about that. And although it is sad to see all of our favorite characters die, it is really interesting to me that we get to see them usher in the new kind of species of human, evolution of human, because they are trying to, because they're basically, the aliens wanted to evolve them, and they are aware of other aliens all over the solar system. They're like, humans are too weak, we're going to help you evolve. And I really love that idea, although it is kind of dystopian to imagine that an entire alien race has turned the entirety of the human race into basically tools to go against other aliens. And it's really bizarre. There was a lot of great ideas in this, and I don't want to go into all of them because I want you guys to go into it spoiler-free, although this is a spoiler-free section, but whatever. I love this book. I really enjoyed it, but there are a lot of kind of issues that this book has that is a product of its time. So kind of go in there knowing that, and I think you'll enjoy it somewhat like I did. So thank you all so much for watching, and please have a great rest of the day.